There's nothing like an old church potluck where the food was plentiful, it was simple yet comforting, and absolutely made with love. Here are 5 vintage recipes that are still worth making and that you should bring to your next potluck. I guaranteed they'll be the first to go. There's nothing more vintage than the appetizer I'm starting with, the old grape jelly meatballs. I mean, things were weird back then, but it made for delicious food. This is one of those meals where it's like, you don't have to know what's in it, just eat it, you'll love it. I mean, we pulled out this beauty right here, the Rolls Royce of crock pots. While you totally can, and I think people probably way back did make their own meatballs, we're going convenience because it is a potluck after all. We're just gonna dump frozen meatballs. I like to get the small, like cocktail size ones. Doesn't get much easier than this. We're just going in with the whole jar of grape jelly. Grape is what's classic here. There are a lot of recipes that also use cranberry sauce and chili sauce. It's gotta be like this tomato-based, like ketchup-based kind of chili sauce. Whoever thought to do this must have known something we didn't know. I think we've tried to get too creative sometimes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water to rinse this out. And shake, pour, and let it go. Everything is cooked, obviously. You just want everything to be super hot, heated through, so you can get this going and start cooking everything else. Hope your frilly toothpicks are ready, because the meatballs are. Saucy. I mean, you saw what I did, which was literally nothing but dump it in the crock pot, and it just made the most delicious, saucy meatball. Haven't had this in years. Mostly sweet with a hint of savory. I mean, these are crowd pleasers. You will be coming home with an empty crock pot. When I polled the audience to ask what is the most vintage church potluck recipe out there, hands down #1 answer, funeral potatoes. You have seen me make this before with shredded potatoes. I think it is more vintage to use the little square ones, so that's what we're doing. I don't think they had shredded hash brown potatoes back then, and they probably cut their own, but ain't nobody got time for that. There are lots of versions of this. It always usually has the same ingredients, just in different measurements. It's indulgent, it is comforting, and it's one of my favorite casseroles of all time. Cream of chicken, sour cream, and then some chopped onion. My potatoes are kind of like partially thawed. Just kind of put them in the fridge overnight. You gotta have lots of butter. First, I'm gonna season with some salt and pepper. Some of the vintage recipes I feel like need like a tad bit of updating, but this one does not. In with melted butter. I'm gonna save some melted butter for the topping. And just to keep things healthy, lots of cheese. Whether you went to a church potluck way back when or today, I guarantee this dish is there. And if it's not, you need to bring it back. So what I'm saying is, you don't have to wait on somebody to die to make these funeral potatoes. Whenever I have a little leftover that doesn't fit in the casserole dish, I make like single serving ones and put them in the freezer. My future self thanks me. Okay, and then the topping, it has to have a topping. You can do potato chips, you could do Ritz crackers. We're doing cornflakes, crushed up into some melted butter. Okay, and then just sprinkle it on top. No matter how many times I've had it, it still makes me happy. All right, then this just goes into the oven, 350 degrees for about 1.5 hours because those potatoes are still pretty frozen, so it does take a while. Smelling good in Grandma's kitchen. You can smell the cheesy, buttery perfection, but you know it's gonna be good, but I guess I'll taste it to prove it. I'm glad I went with those little square potatoes. It never disappoints. Nothing about these funeral potatoes is sad at all. Any guesses as to what I'm making now? It's the famous 3-bean salad. No buffet, salad bar, or in this case, church potluck, was complete without the bean salad. Classically, it is the 3-bean salad. The 3 beans being green beans. Also, all these were canned. I'm sure there was a time when everybody grew their own beans and they made it that way, but the only way I've ever done this salad is with canned beans. So we've got green beans, and then the wax beans and kidney beans. Those were the classic. Over the years, they've incorporated more beans. I've seen a lot of versions include the garbanzo bean, and that's what I'm doing today, just for some more texture. So 3-bean salad is now 4-bean salad. As a kid, I was one of the weird ones who actually liked this, but now I love it. And if you haven't had this in a while, here's your sign. A lot of store-bought versions even don't have the fresh veggies in there, and I think it needs the little fresh crunch. So simply a little bit of onion, celery, and bell pepper. One thing about all of these recipes, besides the fact they feed a lot of people, they're also very simple, unpretentious, and inexpensive. Now it's all gonna come together in our bowl. I'm gonna take all of my beans and drain them very well and give them a little rinse. This is another easy recipe that can be double, tripled, quadrupled, however many people you gotta feed. This will work. Veggies in. All right, so it's kind of like a sweet and sour dressing. So you've got your oil and vinegar and then sugar. I think the part I didn't like way back when was when they're too sweet. I mean, it's not dessert. So I'm going to adjust the sugar amount according to my taste. The recipe calls for 3/4 cup. I'm definitely not using that much. This is a very tangy dressing, so the ratio of oil to vinegar is 1:1, which I do kind of like, especially with beans. Did you notice I also have a vintage cocktail on my shirt? Sticking with the theme. I don't think they serve these at a church potluck though. Start with sugar. I mean, it has to be a little bit sweet because that is the recipe, just not like syrup. And then salt and pepper. This one is especially perfect for a potluck because it can be served room temperature and it can be made ahead. It's actually better to make it ahead so that the flavors come together. And with the spoon out with the perfect bite. Tastes like what I remember. This dish could be considered a side or a dessert. I'm gonna throw it in today as the dessert, but it is a salad for dessert. Ambrosia salad. Raise your hand if you like ambrosia. To me, this is a dessert / salad that I did not enjoy as a kid, but I happen to love now. And this was the second most popular answer when I polled the audience. This is a fruit salad mixed with some coconut and tied together in a creamy dressing. And it starts with mandarin oranges. My mom makes her ambrosia with fresh oranges. So I'm going to freshen up the mandarin oranges by adding in some fresh orange as well. If you do a fresh orange, you want to segment it. So you peel away all of the pith and peel, and then you go on either side of the pith in the middle to create a little segment. This is a dish that can be enjoyed year-round. It is perfect for the upcoming summer months and all of the barbecues. I'm just gonna give them a little chop so they aren't too big. This is really gonna brighten up the dish. No offense to the mandarin oranges. All right, and then pineapple is another major ingredient. Now, a lot of versions, some will do crushed, some will do tidbits, some will do chunks. They all do it from a can. So I'm going to do a combination of crushed, which kind of brings the salad together, and some tidbits because I like a juicy bite. Okay, next goes the coconut, and it's the shredded sweetened coconut. So remember, this is a salad that doubles as dessert, and marshmallows. I don't make the rules. You gotta have the iconic maraschino cherry in there. My mom says just a few. And for the dressing that brings this beauty together, a little Cool Whip and a little sour cream. You've got your sweet, and then you're balancing out with a little bit of savory. You can, of course, make fresh whipped cream, but the people that prepared this for the church potluck, this is what they used. This is another one that is expected to be made in advance, thus making it, again, perfect for a potluck. A little sour cream, give her a stir. You just want to fold it so you don't break up all those oranges. Some people put chopped nuts in here also. I feel like it might make a good garnish. Okay, now this has to chill in the fridge for several hours. I'm gonna give it a taste. It's delightful. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it? That's gonna be the pleasant surprise at the party. We're frying chicken. Name a church potluck that didn't have fried chicken. You can't. So that's what we're doing. I'm trying a new fried chicken recipe that I've never done before because if I'm gonna have fried chicken, I want it to be extra crunchy. So I'm trying this triple dipped fried chicken, one of our top rated recipes at Allrecipes. First, we make our seasoned flour. The recipe calls for garlic salt, which in and of itself is a vintage item. It looks vintage. I'll do garlic powder and salt. Same thing, guys, same thing. Some paprika, a little bit of poultry seasoning. And I'm gonna add in a little bit of cayenne and some black pepper. Give it a whisk. Then I'm gonna make the wet mixture because we're gonna go back and forth from wet to dry 3 times because it's triple dipped. The wet mixture starts with a beer, but this is not a beer batter. And I'm Catholic, so we can have this at our church potluck. And then I'm also mixing in a couple egg yolks and some more salt and pepper. We mix this, and then I'm putting some flour into this mixture. This is gonna act as a glue to help the dry stay on. Into the flour. Each time you want to shake off the excess. Then into the wet. I'm gonna do a couple at a time. As you know, I will not be able to have a wet hand to dry hand. Excess off and back into the dry. So it's gone flour once, flour twice, back into the wet, and then the third time into the flour. And I'm just setting them on a wire rack. As you keep going, you're gonna get little wet pieces of flour. That's good, that's gonna create the little craggly edges. See, this is just the quintessential slow Sunday dinner. You want your oil to be at 350 degrees, and then you're obviously gonna have to do this in batches. So like I said, this was a slow Sunday situation. You don't wanna rush it. You don't want your oil to be too hot, or it's gonna be really browned on the outside, but the inside's still gonna be raw. So 350 to start, and then it will lower to about 325 to finish cooking. You also just be aware of the different sizes of chicken. So obviously the smaller pieces are gonna cook faster. Look at the crunchy, craggly edges. That's what I like. This is a really good time to have a digital thermometer. Just saying. It's one of the only times I use it is when I'm frying chicken, because we gotta cook it all the way through on the inside. Takes about 15 minutes per batch. That's some good looking fried chicken. Hit them with a little salt when they come out. Look at all those crunchies. It's perfectly golden brown. I mean, you know that's gonna be good. Let me just give it a little sample. I always reach for a wing first. It's just what I do. That could be some of the best fried chicken I've ever made. The crunch, the flavor, the chicken is tender and juicy on the inside. We're about to have the best potluck ever. Get ready. Take a look. How far back did this meal take you? All the way. I hope I have inspired you to bring back some old favorites for your next potluck. I know I've been inspired. Let me build the perfect potluck plate. I feel a little bit like a grandma at how excited I am about this meal. That is a beautiful church potluck plate if I've ever seen one. Very well rounded. It's got all the food groups. We've got all the components to a perfect meal, and I'm here for it. Now that the flavors have settled into the bean salad, perfection. Oh, I'll be making all kinds of perfect bites. A juicy bite of Ambrosia salad. Is it a side or is it a dessert? It kind of makes me feel like I'm on vacation. Tastes very tropical. If you try these out at your next potluck, I guarantee you will come home with a clean dish. And as promised, these dishes were simple, they're comforting, and they were made with love. Cheers. That really is the best fried chicken I've ever made.